What's going on, everyone? It's your boy Savvy, and welcome back to the Savvy Show. And in today's episode, we're going to do another non-animation reaction. We see that you guys hit that like meter. We got the 50 likes on the last one that we did, which was, honestly, that one surprised me. The Damroon class, Afterlife SCP, I think it was SCP-2718. Either way, top 10 for me. Honestly, I was going to say top 5, but I'm actually thinking about all the SCPs I've been reacting to thus far. It would be safe to say top 10. I might actually do a tier list in the future about my favorite SCPs. If you guys want to see that, let me know in the comment section below, but that's neither here nor there. Today, since we hit that meter, I'm going to return the favor and dive deep into SCP-001, the Black Moon. And yes, I know, most of you guys recommending this one for me almost on like all the videos I did after the 05 Council Must Die. So I believe you guys are telling me the guy that looked like a black angel or a black bird creature or whatever, he was part of this Black Moon SCP. I don't know the similarities because this literally looks just like a moon. However, we're going to find out today. So if you guys are excited for this non-animation reaction, and especially this SCP-001, the Black Moon, which is another proposal, by the way, remember to smash that like button. Also smash the sub button. Join the family. You already know what to do. Join the family. Have a good time with us. All gas, no breaks. We don't slow down for nothing. We'd love for you to join. And also remember to turn on that bell so you get posted with each and every upload. So without any further ado, let's get this show started. Alrighty, SCP-001, the Black Moon. Let's get it.
SCP-001, the Black Moon. Some might say that universe-ending threats are a dime a dozen in the SCP universe.
Exactly, yep.
And while that may be true, what's more interesting than the threats themselves is how exactly the Foundation deals with each of them. The Black Moon is another 001 proposal, but rather than one that deals with how the Foundation got started, it's instead one that supersedes all of the other SCPs in regards to its danger.
What? Yo, that really sounds like cap. Is it really? That's basically saying all the other ones I react to thus far, it supersedes it from danger alone. I know there's other powerful ones like, the strongest SCP, so how could it supersede that when that one's always superseding itself? And that one was pretty dangerous if it was in the wrong hands. And the absence. The other one we did too. The stars do not wait for you. That SCP, which was more so like a tale. There's no way this is superseding it, but we shall see. I'm getting ahead of myself maybe.
This will definitely be a proposal that borders on a comic book towards the end, which may or may not be everyone's cup of tea, but you can't say it's not unique. The article starts by asking, does the Black Moon howl? A somewhat common question asked across numerous documents with varying answers. The answer here is only a simple no. SCP-001 is an entropic entity of significant power and influence, believed to exist somewhere outside of our conventional reality, referred to in pre-Foundation records as the Black Moon, or as the Pale Emperor, the Pit, and Finale.
Okay, so now I'm assuming it might not be a moon. It might be its nickname, because it might get power from a moon. Oh, this is really confusing already.
Historical records, confirmed by the administrator of the Foundation, describe this entity's influence upon our reality as sudden and random obliterations of conscious organisms. This consists of the organism being spontaneously transformed into a solid black substance before disappearing entirely 4 seconds later.
Huh.
The administrator states that this obliteration is very rarely done, only once every few decades, but this frequency will apparently increase exponentially over time. I'll note that this document was written in 1987.
This SCP is immortal then?
At the time, the Foundation had no idea whether the entity possessed any form of intelligence or was simply acting as an impartial force. Various historical sources suggest that the entity cannot act while being directly observed, but seeing as how it exists outside of reality, directly observing it is a little tricky.
That sounds like that SCP. The number's not coming to me. I think it was like the sculpture or something. I'm not too sure. But is it one similar to like, the episode in Doctor Who, the Weeping Angels, when you're looking at it, they don't move? So in this situation, if they're looking at this SCP, you can't observe it if you're looking at it. Doesn't make any sense, but I hope they dive deep into why that's the case and its powers and everything. From first impressions, it might be just a version of a time jumper. Someone's jumping to different realities. I wouldn't go so far as a reality bender, but mainly someone that's like a time hopper. But I could be wrong.
If the administrator is to be believed, the entity will eventually be responsible for wiping out all of humanity if left to its own devices. So, of course, the Foundation initiated a project involving using various anomalies to try and contain and or neutralize the threat.
Let's see how.
This moves us on to the next file in the article from 1991, which starts with, "Does the Black Moon howl?" And the answer, "Not without blood." This file concerns a human male appearing to be in his late 30s, designated as SCP-001-Cage, generally referred to as the Administrator.
Isn't that a O5 council member, that Administrator? Or maybe I'm getting the names mixed up. I hope I am. Because this would be kind of crazy. Like, what? Another O5 council member?
The Administrator's actual age is unknown, but he's believed to be older than the majority of known human civilization, and has shown no signs of aging since entering Foundation containment.
What the heck?
It seems that despite the Administrator being responsible for founding the Foundation, gathering the first O5 Council, and providing information on a number of ancient anomalies, he voluntarily entered containment in order to be allowed to continue researching 001.
But for some reason, I need to understand that each story has its own author, which has different spins on other known SCPs. So maybe in this version of this story, the Administrator has some other kind of version of immortality, because when we, did the reaction of the factory, they got that from the deal from Anderson. They brought them back to life, and they gained immortality like that. And there was another situation where they gained immortality by the Fountain of Youth. So it's kind of cool to see all the different ties and, differences with each author. But maybe this one ties together. That would be cool if it does.
During his containment, the Foundation has performed a number of tests on him, finding him to be utterly invincible to harm, as all wounds will be reversed after a period of exactly 4 seconds.
What?
Tranquilizers have proved to be partially effective, though,
Reversed?
as he'll remain unconscious for a short time after they leave his system.
Time manipulation, maybe?
The Administrator has claimed that his immortality and invincibility are the result of him being designated as the Counterbalance, an entity charged with pursuing the Black Moon.
Whoa.
This designation can apparently be transferred to another individual, but he's never done this to prove it.
What the heck?
In an interview conducted between O5-3 and the Administrator proves to be a rather amiable individual, and asks the O5 if he's new to the position. When the O5 responds that they've been there for 30 years now, the Administrator responds that they are new then, as time clearly means something a little different to him. When asked if he remembers when he was born, the Administrator says that it was before names, as you only need names when there's a risk of confusing people.
Bro, so he's basically acting like he was the first man on Earth. Adam-type flows. Like, yo, what the heck? How old is this dude? For real, this is crazy. And he got this power to go against the Black Moon, so I'm assuming he's on some kind of level, if not greater, than the Administrator, to get granted such powers like this. It's getting a little sweaty in here, bro. Like, yo, let's rewind a little bit.
Now, the Administrator responds that they are new then, as time clearly means something a little different to him. When asked if he remembers when he was born, the Administrator says that it was before names, as you only need names when there's a risk of confusing people. And when he was born, there weren't enough people for that to be a concern.
Wow.
When asked how he obtained his anomalous properties, he says that they had a village on the edge of the sea, and he was the boy then.
The
He
boy.
was known as the boy because that's the closest thing they had to a name, because he was the only boy in the world.
What the heck?
One day, someone new came to the village, the hermit, who looked like he'd never eaten a day in his life, although he never died.
Did he give the
came
powers
to
to
the
him?
center of their village, sat on a stone, and waited. And a few days later, the black moon howled. The youngest hunter of the village was walking to his cave when he suddenly became a pitch-black statue and disappeared 4 seconds later. The hermit
What?
then turned to the boy and asked what he had seen. The administrator told him, and then the hermit proceeded to tell him everything he had learned about the Black Moon over the course of his immortal life.
Dang, so I guess he was asking the boy, did he see what the Black Moon did, basically? And I'm assuming the administrator said, yeah, he turned to a black statue. And that's why he's diving deep into what he's about. And I'm assuming this guy, the hermit, is going to give his powers to the boy. So let's see.
It took him only 4 minutes to do so, as he simply didn't know much, despite having lived for 1,000 years. The counterbalance was transferred to the boy,
Yep.
and the hermit turned to dust.
Damn. Counterbalance. That's what the power is for some reason. And it's crazy that he just turned to dust. So that was the only thing that was to keep him alive, the power itself. Wow. So if he ever transfers it, the administrator, nothing could save him, it seems like. Even if he takes like the Fountain of Youth or something. It seems like it's tied to like that person's soul.
The O5 already knew all this, but they periodically check the administrator's memory to make sure he remembers. Moving on to discussing the entity itself,
They've lived for a long
the
time.
administrator says that things are proceeding slowly, although that's always been the case, but they have some exciting project proposals to work on. The administrator then calls out O5-3, suggesting that they think that the administrator is either lying about the whole thing, or he's delusional, or that he's telling the truth but fighting a pointless battle. The O5 tries to brush this off and say that they have the utmost respect for the administrator, but he doesn't drop the issue.
Yeah.
He
I wouldn't
says that
either.
he knows what the O5 is thinking because he believes that people really aren't that different overall, with only about 100 or so archetypes varied in minor ways. He's been around long enough to know what type each person is, and
Wow.
asks O5-3 not to lie to him. The O5 finally says that they do have doubts about the situation, but they also have respect for the administrator. Ultimately, they do think that it's a pointless battle, trying to observe something that can't be observed.
For real.
The administrator counters by mentioning the book Moby Dick, which he really identifies with.
Okay.
The
Let's
O5 says that it was their impression that the book is about how Captain Ahab's pursuit of revenge against nature was doomed to fail from the start. The administrator says that was not his impression. His impression was that Ahab just didn't try hard enough.
Ah, that's
The
interesting.
third file starts with the question, does the Black Moon howl? And the answer, only at the blind.
Only at the blind? I thought it was when it has blood. So there's different. Okay, let me hear that one more time. I'm trying to follow everything the best I can.
Was that Ahab just didn't try hard enough. The third file starts with the question, does the Black Moon howl? And the answer, only at the blind.
Only at the blind.
This file describes the project that the Foundation initiated to try and contain or neutralize 001.
So that's saying, does the Black Moon howl only at the blind? I'm assuming it's referring to the people that could actually see him do stuff. Because like they said before, if you see him, if you observe him, you can't really observe him. You can't really see, him howling or anything. But if you're blind and you're in his vicinity, that's when he howls, because no one's observing him because they have no eyes to observe or no sight. So maybe that's it, but we shall see.
Headed up by a Dr. Moto. The project resulted in a collection of inanimate objects artificially linked to SCP-001 using conceptual engineering. designated as SCP-001-Key. Each of the objects that make up 001 Key are different, but they all share a few traits. None of them can act while under observation. They all possess a hostility towards conscious life, and they each possess the capacity to end conscious life if given the opportunity.
Conscious
all traits they share with SCP-001 itself.
So you can wipe out a universe.
Their hope was that by purposefully creating these anomalies that share those traits with SCP-001, they would conceptually link them to the entity, and thus, by containing them, they could contain the Black Moon.
You're just creating more... Hold up. Let me think about this. Yeah, they came... How could they benefit from that? Because say like these entities, these anomalies, they turn against, the creators. And that's another threat that could wipe out the universe. That's on par with the Black Moon. That wouldn't make any sense. Unless you have them in tow and you got like a chip of them, they're going to follow your every order. But it seems like you made them to be able to withstand anything you throw at it. If you're on the other end of the spectrum. So we shall see how this will pan out, but I don't think it's looking good.
As for the objects themselves, the third one they created took the form of a humanoid statue, which appeared behind the nearest individual in a threatening posture when unobserved.
Bro.
This was judged a partial success, although it was unclear whether its behavior was due to actual hostility or just playfulness. The seventh one they made also was a humanoid statue, but when unobserved, it attempted to snap the neck of the nearest individual.
Yo.
Dr. Moto noted this as a big success, as it demonstrated all three of the necessary traits while still being easily manageable in containment.
So the SCP was one of these original ones.
SCP-173.
Yeah.
Which I'll note that Out of Universe was written by an individual going by Moto42.
Okay.
The 12th object they made took the form of a spherical sculpture floating in the air, which proceeded to violently explode immediately after becoming unobserved, killing a number of personnel.
Someone's vain.
Obviously, self-termination doesn't work for the Foundation's purposes, but it didn't really deter Dr. Moto. The 13th one took the form of a sculpture with a human head 3 meters in height and 2 meters in width.
Okay.
When it became unobserved, it rammed through the nearest wall at extremely high speeds and was finally recontained as it attempted to flee across the desert. It did result in the deaths of 19 personnel, but Dr. Moto isn't sure if it was intentional hostility or just collateral damage. So this one was terminated.
Damn. I guess they're not as powerful as I thought.
Took the form of a complex of intersecting stalagmites and stalactites.
I don't know what that is.
A series of coral-like growths erupting from the central mass.
Ew.
When unobserved for only 0.2 seconds, no activity seemed to be detected.
Okay.
Although it was later discovered that during that very brief period, 142 civilians staying at a hotel in a nearby city were killed via spontaneous human combustion.
Bro, so these SCPs or these anomalies per se are very, very vain. Like they need to be observed, or bad calamities are going to be happening around the world or around the vicinity these SCPs reside in. So, damn, I really want to know more information about all these individual ones and if these are possibly other proposals we just don't know about yet. Because we know the one that's behind it snaps the neck, the sculpture, I think that's what it's called. That's not a proposal. So it's interesting. Maybe there's different levels to them.
That's certainly not acceptable, and the Foundation had quite a time covering that up. Dr. Moto halted all creation of new key instances, with the hope that if they keep the ones they've made under constant observation, it'll be enough to stop the Black Moon. Unfortunately, that's not the end of the story, as it didn't take long before the Black Moon struck again.
Okay.
That's certainly not acceptable, and the Foundation had quite a time covering that up. Dr. Moto halted all creation of new key instances, with the hope that if they keep the ones they've made under constant observation, it'll be enough to stop the Black Moon.
Keys.
Unfortunately, that's not the end of the story, as it didn't take long before the Black Moon struck again in 1993, this time with the first recorded double obliteration event. Two
Double
tourists in
obliteration.
Rome were spontaneously erased, and it was later confirmed that at the time, all of the key instances were being actively observed, proving that the costly project did absolutely nothing.
Like I
Several
figured.
hours after the news came in, Dr. Moto left a note in his office, reading, "We've been looking at nothing. I'm sorry, Administrator. I've failed you, sir."
Oh my god.
Dr. Moto himself was found in the containment of one of the key instances, dead due to a broken neck.
Ha! Yo.
Following the doctor's death, the entire project was discontinued, and the key instances were merely kept in containment.
Okay, so I'm assuming they just turned to regular SCPs. Okay.
The resources involved in the project were reallocated to another proposed project for dealing with the Black Moon, which is detailed in the next file.
Okay.
This file answers "Does the Black Moon howl?" with "Not while the stars shine." The surprising thing here is that this file was last updated in the year 3764. So we're dealing with things well into the future now, where apparently the Black Moon is still a threat.
What is this?
The project that the Foundation ended up moving on to involved a biomechanical spacefaring vessel designated as 001 Seek, designed to traverse space in search of extraterrestrial civilizations with useful information regarding the Black Moon.
So that's a whole nother proposal in itself. Seek? What the heck?
The ship is 1,000 meters long, 300 meters wide, and 600 meters in height, with numerous thrusters, cilia, and flagella present to aid its movement in space.
Okay.
Of course, the ship is pretty anomalous, even by future standards, equipped with an organic learning computer capable of handling a significantly greater amount of information than any human or transhuman. It's equipped with a universal translator reverse-engineered from an SCP that allows it to assimilate languages within nanoseconds, and a transcription unit conceptually linked to a unit on Earth, allowing for instantaneous communications.
Wow.
The ship has 300 biological drones aboard, each capable of flight, which are all directly controlled by the computer via telepathy, and 3,000 cryogenic units capable of preserving biological samples.
This is a lot.
Since it was a big concern that the ship not be an actual target for the Black Moon, which only targets conscious life, they went to great strides to make it not actually conscious, while still being highly intelligent. We're given a few logs of some notable planets that the ship encountered, starting with one in the year 3156.
This is deep in the future.
This planet was theoretically capable of supporting human life, although blizzards cover the planet. There were signs of civilization on one continent, but no conscious life was observed, with only abandoned villages and cities being discovered. There were also signs of attempted evacuation from the planet, with numerous space-worthy vessels being found, but it's believed that all inhabitants of the planet were obliterated at least 1,000 years prior.
Jesus.
The drones did find numerous artistic depictions of the indigenous species being obliterated by the Black Moon.
I really want to know what this Black Moon is itself. Like, is it an actual entity? Or is this black space that... I don't know. It honestly seems like it could be something more so of like an event, like a phenomenon, than an actual being. But they make it seem like it is one. But from what we're gathering, and we're like halfway through, it doesn't seem like that's the case.
And a site of a mass suicide, although they recovered information indicating numerous contradicting theories about the obliteration events, meaning that the inhabitants here had no idea what was happening to them. Another planet was observed in 3499, and even though volcanic activity had left it incapable of supporting human life, there were signs of civilization inside of deep craters at small temperate zones at both poles. Their civilization seemed to consist of large, black, cylindrical buildings, each thousands of meters tall, capable of housing millions of organisms. They found statues of quadrupedal entities with hooked claws, believed to be the indigenous species, and words written on walls indicating a general feeling of acceptance of their inevitable fate.
What the heck?
Some of the words indicate that inhabitants were instructed to remain in their homes and await the coming of the Howl. The drones did find some life, though, in the form of creatures resembling armored bats. These
Oh my
creatures
god.
were apparently not conscious, however, instead operating solely on instinct, which is why the Black Moon didn't wipe them out.
So they were dead?
A third planet was found in 3764.
How are you not conscious but you act on instinct? What? I mean, I guess that's possible. Like if you're sleeping and something like, touches you, you could just act without you being really like alive, or not alive, awake. But you're still conscious though. You're just asleep. I don't know, that's kind of weird.
With this one entirely covered in megacities. Large artificial farms and nature reserves were present on the roofs of large buildings, and the weather of the planet had been stabilized artificially, aside from regular rain for the farms and reserves. Evidence suggests that the planet was previously home to a highly advanced civilization, but the only life currently remaining consists of non-conscious fauna and flora.
I wonder if it was I wonder if it was a variation or version of SCP-001, Bigfoot, because they lived in an advanced civilization when humans were, just around. So that would be kind of cool if they tied that in.
Numerous bunkers are present beneath the surface, presumably to try and protect individuals from the Black Moon, but most of them were empty. Data shows that the indigenous species were a vaguely humanoid form of fungi, capable of linking together telepathically. There seemed to have been something akin to a Foundation equivalent on the planet, with numerous abandoned projects designed to try and observe SCP-001. They finally hit pay dirt, though, with one working cryogenic unit being found holding a surviving conscious organism.
Let's
The
see
unit was immediately recovered, and on direct order of the administrator, the ship began making its journey back towards Earth.
What's the organism?
The fifth document concerns this recovered individual, designated as 001-Sage.
Sage?
The file answers,
Another proposal?
does the Black Moon howl? With only when waning.
When waning? What? And another proposal. Oh my god, this is crazy.
Sage is a vaguely humanoid entity formed from various alien forms of fungus, acting in apparent symbiosis. It is sapient, able to communicate with both each of its parts as well as humans via telepathy.
Each of its parts?
It identifies the planet it has come from as being the Single Star, where it claims to have served as a scholar of great renown. Its primary subject of research was the entity known as the Black Moon.
Dang, everyone's
The
searching
Single
this dude.
Star government failed to come up with a way to stop the Black Moon, so Sage put itself into cryogenic sleep in the hopes that it would be unaffected. Even though it seems like it did work, people of Earth had already tried cryogenic sleep under the same theory.
It didn't work.
And found that it didn't offer any protection, meaning that Sage was just lucky. Since the population of the Single Star would use telepathy to communicate with one another and easily share knowledge, Sage has found it difficult to assimilate new ideas on Earth, as he's the only one left of his kind.
So he needs people of his kind to think about new ideas? What? That doesn't make any sense. Anyway, let's just keep it going.
In an interview with the administrator, Sage immediately refers to him as the counterbalance, and the administrator asks if it knows of a way to stop the Black Moon.
So this power is universal, like figuratively and literally, because he knows what it's even called. It wasn't just something that, the hermit called it and told, the administrator. He knows about this power, so that's even more hype.
Sage says yes, but only because it's reading the administrator's mind, and the administrator has already found a way to stop the entity.
Wow.
Something referred to as the SCB.
SCB?
When asked what it is, the administrator says that it's victory, but it will take a very, very long time, and he doesn't know if he could carry it out.
SCB?
As he's very tired.
Transfer the power?
He says that there are people who have loved him, and he's left them all behind to end up here, and he doesn't know how much more he can leave behind. Sage suggests that he give the counterbalance to another. And as for how he knows about the counterbalance, there was apparently one such individual on his world who set sail off to another world.
Bro, universal.
There has been a great chain of counterbalance individuals across the universe.
Yo, okay. I'm on this, bro. Like, yo, I'm hitting it. I don't miss, at least in this video. Let me chill.
Continued to pass it on when they became too tired to continue, ending up with the administrator. The administrator knows how to beat the Black Moon, and he could just pass on the counterbalance to someone else and tell them what to do.
Why can't you just beat it, bro? Like, stick it out, man. You lived for this long. Honestly, maybe it's just me. Let me know if you guys feel the same thing in the comment section below, but like, nothing, he's not getting sick. He's just getting tired. I mean, I can't be in his shoes. He's probably like really exhausted for like doing this for God knows how many eons, but you found out how to beat this being, this entity, this phenomenon for how many times you've been trying to figure it out. And now, right when you find the answers or victory, you want to pass on to someone that doesn't know anything about this and want him to, like, you know, complete the... Just do it yourself. It just seems like it would be easier if you just do it yourself. But we shall see.
But he doesn't trust anyone else with the responsibility.
Thank you.
He also says that the Black Moon will still kill him, it'll just kill him last. Sage asks him how much time it will take, to which the administrator responds that it'll take long enough for him to see the stars disappear for good.
Wow.
Sage then asks what good will victory do then?
Yeah.
But the administrator just gets up to leave the interview, so Sage yells after him, asking again. The administrator simply turns and looks back, allowing Sage to read the answer from his mind. Sage then simply says, "How blasphemous of you. Hopefully it works."
Bro, I want to know!
Immediately following the interview, the administrator proceeded into the SCB, the Singular Conceptual Bunker, leaving instructions behind for the Foundation to be run by a newly formed O5 council in his absence.
Okay, cool.
Something that they haven't had for hundreds of years. One day, sometime after that, Sage suddenly flared with a blue light and said, "Hopefully, hopefully," before being obliterated by the Black Moon.
Blow! Okay, those are his last words. Okay, this must be heavy. This victory that the administrator is thinking about, like on the verge of death. He was probably I'm just assuming. He's probably thinking of like the plan that the administrator is going to, you know, use to defeat the Black Moon. And he just got obliterated, bro. I gotta hear this again. Wow.
To be run by a newly formed O5 council in his absence. Something that they haven't had for hundreds of years. One day, sometime after that, Sage suddenly flared with a blue light and said, "Hopefully, hopefully," before being obliterated by the Black Moon.
Damn.
When the administrator was told about this while inside of the conceptual bunker,
she went back to sleep.
He said that he would be providing no further guidance, and that the SCB should be loaded onto the experimental memorial module at the first available opportunity.
Damn, he's preparing for everything.
The next file opens with, "Does the Black Moon howl?" And the answer, yes. It describes an installation located in orbit around Remus 9224, believed to be the last remaining star, designated as 001 Tome. Tome is designed to serve as a memorial following the extinction of conscious life by intercepting the final transmissions of civilizations prior to their obliteration.
Damn.
The installation is spherical, 50 meters in diameter, concealed from detection using a number of cloaking systems, and it's powered by an engine capable of harvesting ambient hypothetical energy. It's
Hypothetical
operated
energy?
by a non-conscious artificial intelligence, which filters out the majority of junk signals received and only records the meaningful ones. The Tome Project was originally conceived of sometime prior to the year 7329, but was abandoned before the simultaneous obliteration of 219 human colonies. At that point, it was determined that the continued existence of conscious life was not possible, so the Tome Project was revived.
Interesting.
As of the document's writing, it's been in operation for a buffer overflow number of years.
Buffer overflow?
Basically means a long time.
You could just say that,
It
but...
is listed as being last updated after names, harking back to the administrator's claim of being born before names.
Dang.
We're given a partial list of transmissions recorded in the memorial. The first is from a human colony, begging for assistance as they're losing people every day and there's barely anyone left.
It really does seem like a phenomenon. The Black Moon. And I say that because we're not really seeing him, doing anything besides people just combusting or getting erased. Like, we see events going on. We don't see him actually doing it. Unless it's like he's on some distant planet and he's doing it, purposely from far, far away. Honestly, it really seems like just a random event that the administrator is trying to, stop, which is called the Black Moon. Oh, no. I wish we could get a little bit more about the Black Moon itself than the files attached to it. I really hope they wrap it up like that.
The second was from an anti-human religious site, spouting religious quotes and asking for forgiveness. The third is another human colony, in which they say that it's so dark outside now, and it's blotting out the sun. The fourth is from an android commune in which they state that a situation is developing, and they require additional resources. The fifth is from a location labeled as Ocean Hate in Thought Space.
Ocean Hate?
This
Wow.
transmission reads, "My fault, your fault, our fault. My fault, your fault, our fault. My fault, your fault, our fault. Rip out my brain now. Rip out my brain now."
That escalated way too fast. What? You didn't even know whose fault it is, and you just tell him rip out your brain? Just keep it pushing.
The sixth one is from Earth, with the voice of a young child asking, "Hello." And finally, the last one is from the solitary conceptual bunker located inside of Tome, reading, "It's ready. Wish me luck." This leads to the final document, written more like a script than an SCP document.
Okay.
It describes the solitary conceptual bunker as resembling a bar, with bottles of liquor lined up on shelves, ashtrays arranged on the bar top, and stools pulled up for patrons.
Cool.
The walls are made with fine, intricate brickwork, and the floors made from the smoothest, most pristine wood. There's a man standing behind the bar, scrubbing it down with a grim smile on his face.
See a proposal?
The administrator.
Oh.
The door to the bar opens, and the Black Moon walks in. And
He walks in. It's a he. Yo. Okay, this is where it's getting juicy. Let's rewind it back. Let's reel it back in a little bit before we go balls deep. All right.
this most pristine wood. There's a man standing behind the bar, scrubbing it down with a grim smile on his face. The administrator.
About time. Showdown.
The door to the bar opens, and the Black Moon walks in, as the administrator tells him that he certainly took his time before asking if he wants a drink. The Black Moon is confused, described as a shadow with delusions of form, like smoke trapped in a fist.
Okay.
And asks the administrator what this is. The administrator simply spreads his arms and responds that it's a bar. The Black Moon steps forward, somehow drifting and stomping at the same time, and lets out a growl before asking, why is he speaking, as it's not his way.
What?
The administrator nods and comes out from behind the bar, stating that this whole place is the singular conceptual bunker, and that everything inside of it is just information.
Huh.
The Black Moon says that it's meaningless and takes a step forward, causing the administrator to take a step backwards out of an innate fear.
Makes sense.
He responds that this was actually really clever of him, and that everything in here is here because he provided the information for it. From the
Oh.
bottles, to the jukebox, to even the space he's occupying.
Okay, cool.
He could have left no room for the Black Moon to enter this bunker, making it completely sealed, but then the Black Moon would have just smashed it to pieces.
Yeah.
Instead, he left a human-shaped hole for it to occupy. This causes the Black Moon to stop and pause, uncertain of what exactly that implies.
Yeah.
Hesitation and uncertainty were both new experiences to it, and
Whoa.
it asks what the administrator has done.
Please tell.
This causes the administrator to grin, as he's been waiting for this moment for so very long.
Dang, this is gonna
He
feel
says
good.
that he's provided for it a path of least resistance, which the Black Moon took, causing it to be brought down to the administrator's level. This causes the Black Moon to begin barking, roaring, and hissing all at once.
So dark.
Furious.
What?
And it tells the administrator that it doesn't matter because he'll die all the same. The administrator sighs and says that he's been waiting billions of years for this, and now the Black Moon is just acting like a cartoon villain. Although he admits that he's not surprised, as it's like an ocean being squeezed into a plastic bottle.
Wow.
The Black Moon continues to approach him in anger, and even though the administrator said,
Wait, so he's getting absorbed into that black circular shape right now in this moment in time while they're still talking? What the? Hold on. Let me rewind a little bit.
although he admits that he's not surprised, as it's like an ocean being squeezed into a plastic bottle.
Jeez, that must be uncomfortable.
The Black Moon continues to approach him in anger, and even though the administrator says that they finally have a chance to talk to one another after all this time, the Black Moon leaps over the bar and roars that it's all meaningless. The administrator goes to his plan B then, utilizing a movement he's been practicing daily for billions of years, as he grabs a shotgun beneath the bar and fires both barrels into the Black Moon's chest.
Is that going to do anything to him?
It staggers backwards but doesn't fall, only becoming more angry.
Yeah.
This surprises the administrator, and the Black Moon tackles him to the floor, beginning to choke him with its semi-solid hands.
All this power, and he's just trying to choke him? Why don't we just snap his fingers like Thanos and, erase him? Like, what's going on? Why is he tussling with him?
The administrator eventually reaches up and manages to slam the Black Moon's head into the side of the bar,
Jeez.
causing them both to collapse. Eventually, he rises to his feet, due to being more accustomed to a physical form, and he stomps down on the Black Moon's knee, causing it to howl before pulling the administrator back down.
Oh my god.
As he falls, he grabs an ashtray from the bar, but the Black Moon is back on top of him, clawing at his face while shouting that it's meaningless and he should just die.
Okay.
The administrator manages to use the ashtray to bash the Black Moon's head numerous times before its body goes limp.
What the heck?
The administrator lays next to the Black Moon's body, thinking about resting, but knowing that there's one last thing he needs to do.
Put in the circular.
He slowly climbs to his feet, using the bar for support, blood pouring down his face, and he staggers over to the jukebox.
Is it jukebox?
He pulls out a coin from his pocket and smiles before saying that this place is only information, and there's nothing else out there in the universe. This place can go from information back to matter with just the press of a button. And as the song on the jukebox ends, he puts the coin in and closes his eyes. He then says, "Let's see what happens when we introduce something to nothing," before pressing the button. The document ends with the administrator laughing and saying, "Let there be light." So, the destroyer of all life in the universe met its end in a conceptual bar at the end of time by being bashed over the head with an ashtray.
Are you kidding me?
The administrator had waited billions of years inside of a conceptual bunker, waited for all life to be obliterated, and the heat death of the universe to wipe out all matter, leaving only himself and the Black Moon.
Wow. So, was it really worth it, though? You waited until every living thing was gone, and then it finally came to you because you're the last one left. But what is there to save? There's nothing to save people from the Black Moon because there's no people to save. The Black Moon killed everyone else. You're just the last one on the list. He was right. Like, you're just die. It's all going to be the same. Like, everyone else is dead. Like, was it really worth it, though? Besides the satisfaction, like, trying to kill this guy for eons and eons of years? Like, I don't know.
The Black Moon waltzed in, believing that it just had one last task to accomplish. But instead, he fell into the administrator's trap and was given a physical form.
Oh! So the trap that he set forced him to have a physical form. So that's why I was wondering, like, why is he not just, being like what he was prior to this? Like a phenomenon. That's what it seemed like. He was never like a physical form in all the other events. That actually makes sense now. Okay.
After finally slaying the Black Moon after so long, he then managed to initiate another Big Bang, bringing matter back into existence,
what?
And allowing life to eventually return.
Yo, was that all part of his... Did he know that was going to happen? There's no way. Yo, okay, that was pretty crazy. And that takes some dedication if that was the case. Waiting for everyone to die billions of years. Bro, this guy's the MVP of all MVPs, if that really is the case.
After finally slaying the Black Moon after so long, he then managed to initiate another Big Bang, bringing matter back into existence, and allowing life to eventually return.
Crazy.
I did say it was going to be rather comic booky in the end, but that's not necessarily a bad thing.
It was still pretty cool.
As we continue diving through the myriad of works across the SCP universe,
wow,
we'll come across some wilder and wilder stuff.
I bet.
As usual, whether or not this is canon is up to you, but it does seem as if the Black Moon finally did.
What was that? Bro, is he okay? Yo, this guy... Let me just keep it pushing. Yo, is it over? Yo, it's over. Anything left at the end? No, there's nothing. Yo, I see why you guys wanted me to react to this one. This was dope. I'm glad I reacted to the longer version of it because I feel like animation can't really jam-pack all these different files attached to this SCP that's attached to other proposals itself. Man, that was crazy. And what dedication that administrator took to defeat the Black Moon. Bro, that was nutty. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below about this reaction and about this SCP as a whole. And also remember to smash that like button if you do enjoy this reaction. And smash the sub button and turn on that bell so you don't miss an upload on the channel. So with all out the way, unfortunately, that concludes today's episode. However, I'll catch you guys on the next one.
Saying bye to all the lies and all the times you cried, saying that I wasn't right, yet I was right by your side. You manipulator, playing games, your friends commentators, and I don't know what you say about our private conversations.